Welcome back to the Get Off the Treadmill podcast for small business owners and entrepreneurs, where we show you how to build a successful business and to have a life too. We're going to dive into another topic that helps us make more money in less time and to get off the treadmill so we can experience a life of significance. And now, your host and the author of the #1 best-selling business book, Making Money is Killing Your Business, Chuck Blakeman.
Today, I'm talking with Carey Lindeman. She's the founder visionary of Promise Care. With nearly 2 decades of entrepreneurial experience and a proven track record of success, Carey stands as a beacon of inspiration in the world of business. She's the founder visionary of the thriving home care company called Promise Care, dedicated to serving seniors, and she has honed her skills in leadership, compassion, and serving her clients. She's driven by a passion for helping others succeed, and I love that about Carey. I've seen that myself. Carey has amassed a wealth of diverse business experience that spans industries and continents, and now she's embarking on a new chapter in her journey as she sets her sights on becoming a co-facilitator of a community of business owners. We call them 3 to 5 clubs. She's dedicated to empowering individuals to achieve their full potential and create a business that allows them freedom to enjoy the business and have time to enjoy all the riches of life without selling the business. Welcome, Carey. Glad to have you.
Hi, Chuck. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Well,
love being here.
You are selling your business. It's pretty exciting right now. Promise Care is by the time this comes out, if things go well, the Promise Care will be sold. And if it doesn't, we'll cut this out of the interview. But we're excited to have you selling that, not so that you can quit, but so that you can start this new chapter. Tell me a little bit about your this idea of where you founded, how you founded Promise Care, and what you were the visionary that came up with that idea. What caused you to come up with that idea? And then we'll get into the idea of what it means to live in community with other business owners and how valuable that's been to you. But let's start with, what is Promise Care and how did you come up with that idea?
Well, it was pretty accidental, actually. I don't have training as a nurse. I have training in business. I love business. And what I did is because I love to learn, I went, took this course at my church, which was lay care ministry, that taught me how to serve people all over. And I wanted to be a grief counselor for young women. And I didn't get the opportunity. And I called and I said, well, where do you need help? I'm not getting, the opportunity to help these women. They said, well, we really need help with senior care, with visitation. I said, you're joking, because I don't even really like old people. And I don't know if I can relate, but I'll try. I'll do it. And so I started visiting seniors in facilities and found they were the most fascinating, interesting people that had done so much and given so much to society. And in these facilities, some of the ways they were being treated, highly educated people that had done great things, I didn't like how they were being treated. So when I decided to start a company, I thought, I want to give back, and I want to start something that, I can appreciate these people and give them the kind of care they deserve.
Well, Carey, I love that story because so many of our listeners will actually be able to really relate to that. I think that a large chunk of entrepreneurial ventures were basically things that people stumbled into because they saw some hole in the economy, some hole in the culture, some hole in the way people were treated in your case. And that's what entrepreneurs do. That's how they respond to the world around them. I got this life statement out of a book when I was like 21 years old. And I said, yeah, that's me. And the statement is this, from a guy who was very entrepreneurial. His question in life was, why do what others can and will do when there's so much to be done that others can't or won't do? And that's exactly what you did here. You saw something where people were not treating people well. They didn't do things. There wasn't a company doing what you thought somebody should be doing. So you filled the hole. And I just want to recognize that because it sounds, we always wonder how people come up with these ideas. And really the reason we come up with ideas is because we care about the world around us and we're trying to see, where is this not working? How can I fill a hole? And you did. So kudos to you. That's fantastic.
And I think how your philosophy kind of applies to this is movement creates a plan. I
Yeah.
did not have a plan to do this. I just went out there and started working with people, and it created an idea. It created a passion for me. And I wanted to do, more of a boutique type business where it was about the relationships. I could see that people really need relationship. And it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what age you are. I mean, you just need relationships.
Boy, and isn't that the truth? And sure enough, the neurologists and a lot of social scientists have shown very clear correlation between not just how long you live, but how well you live when you're older, relative to, do you have relationships that you care about and they care about you, and specifically, somebody else that cares about you. So knowing that you have that as your marching orders for Promise Care, that's a really valuable thing to people who are in a home or at home by themselves and just don't have those relationships, to actually bring that in and structure that. What a fantastic thing to do for people. So again, I just love that you saw the need and you went out and did it. And I'm encouraging other people in our audience who have something they thought about, that thing over there, that bothers me, or I experienced something that didn't work for me. One of the more famous examples was the underwear company Spanx. Sarah Blakely, I can't remember her name.
Blakely, right.
Yeah, but she had some underwear that weren't working for her, and it kind of bothered her. So she rearranged them, and then she made some for somebody else, and off she went.
And she was selling fax machines.
Was she? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And now it's $1 billion organization, is what I understand. So, that's how these things get started. And if you have one of those things where you're walking in the world around you and you rub up against something that doesn't work, doesn't feel right, you can't see that it's making sense, and you have a solution for it, man, go for it, because that's how these things get started. So we'll just start with that. So I want to talk about how you, in the last number of years, you've been in a business community. We call them 3 to 5 clubs, but we don't have to sell 3 to 5 club. What I would sell is that every business owner needs to be in business community. They need to be in some kind of mastermind group where they have a regular environment with other people where they can say 3 magic words: I don't know, or I am scared, or what the heck, or whatever the 3 words are. We need a place where we can say these things, and we can't say them with our customers or the people who work with us, or even our spouses sometimes, because now 2 of us aren't sleeping because they thought you know what you were doing. So how did you get into this idea of community and being part of a 3 to 5 club? And then we'll talk about ways in which it's actually helped you. But where did that vision come from for you? Because I'm this rugged individual. This was a real difficult thing for me to figure out, that I actually needed to be with other business owners. How did it land for you when were you in something before you saw 3 to 5 club? Or
I was in Women's Presidents Organization, which was great. And that is a community of women. We would get together and we would talk and we would discuss our businesses, but it wasn't as structured as I would have liked. Where 3 to 5, after reading your book, meeting you and getting to know the clubs, there's structure there. There were real concepts that I could take and use. And the other groups I was in, I never felt like I had that structure. Like I could really take the 2-page strategic plan and work it. And what I also like is that things are simple. They're not complicated, because I am somebody that if it's too complicated, I'm not going to bother with it.
I'm with you.
I need something I can understand. I need something I can grasp and I can use. And I think something like the 2-page strategic plan, the freedom mapping, those are all things that a visionary like myself, who avoids all those little tasks, that you have to spend time with. If it's hours and hours and hours, I get exhausted. So the concepts of 3 to 5 are simple, easy to grasp, and anybody can do it.
I love what you started with, that you were in community because you knew you needed it. I wish I'd have gotten into, coulda, shoulda, woulda earlier than I did in life. And what if it actually had some structure to it that could feed me more than just community by itself is incredibly valuable. That's why there's so many business communities around. But to your point, too many of them don't actually have any kind of linear progress for you, structure that says we're going to do this and we're going to do that and then we're going to, and where should I end up as a business owner? There's a lot of things to measure that aren't measured in business community. So to your point, that's what I saw when I started 3 to 5 Club, was that I needed something where I could actually have some direction. I could walk away each time and say, here's one thing I can do over the next couple of weeks before we meet again. Just one simple little thing that we can do again. I can't remember who it was who said, we overestimate what we can do in a month or a few weeks, and we underestimate what we can do in a year. And the way we figure out how to do a lot more in a year is we do less in a couple of weeks. So we come up with one thing. I want to walk through, maybe you brought it up. We always do these ad hoc. We didn't plan this beforehand. You talked about the strategic plan and freedom mapping. I'd love to just go through what we call the 4 building blocks of any business and see how those have impacted you. So the first one we talk about is what we call lifetime goals, or the big why. What are you using your business to build for you personally? Well, how did that impact you? You probably already had some sense of a big why before you got into 3 to 5 Club, but that's one of the things we talk about a lot is what are you doing this for that's bigger than just running your business? So how did that land for you? How did you hear that? And how did you apply that?
The big why, which I love, and I know this is something great if I was to be able to come up with it. And I kept relating it to my business. I kept going back to my business because that was how I identified myself, was through my business.
Yeah. And I want to, before you keep going, sorry, I'm interrupting, but I didn't let our listeners know how we describe a big why. It's really simple. Again, we keep things simple. A lifetime goal, or a big why, we use those interchangeably, is a goal that you can never check off as complete. You can check off, I want $10 million. I want a big house. I want to sell my business. All that you can check off. Those aren't lifetime goals. A lifetime goal is something like, I want to be a contributing member of a nonprofit for the rest of my life. I want to be a great mom. I want to solve poverty in Africa, which probably will take you the rest of your lifetime. So they don't have to be giant, but they have to be continuous, something that you can do a little piece of every day. I can be a great mom today, but then tomorrow I get up again and I get to be a great mom again. I can give a check to my nonprofit today, but then next month I'm doing it again. So that's a big why. It's continuous and you'll never be able to check it off as complete. So let me put that in there and then go ahead and continue.
Well, as I learned, being in 3 to 5 and really learned what was the big why, really, what is it? The other groups I've been in, it's making more money. It's, right, being the biggest and the best. That isn't really where true satisfaction comes from. And being in 3 to 5 and learning really what the big why is, it's your life. It's something you can't check off. It's what drives you. And so what I came up with, I love the word abundance. And I want to myself have a life of abundance and help others create a life of abundance. And
doesn't mean having a lot of things. But when I talk about abundance, I talk about our senior clients living a life of dignity, living a life that makes them happy, living a life that satisfies them. And facilitating. Again, it's helping other business owners create a business that will serve them. And the third thing is I'm part of Opportunity International. And the part that I'm part of is we help mothers keep their girls in school. And we help the moms with their businesses so they can fund what they need to fund to keep their girls in school. So that's their abundance. So it's different for everybody. And that's really what I want to help people do.
Yeah, you nailed it. There's no such thing as one big why. Everybody has their own. My experience has been everybody already has their big why. They haven't given themselves the permission to uncover it, to find it inside themselves. And it's generally something that comes from our childhood, a lot of times from a deficit in our childhood. So mine is to live well by doing good, and specifically to do that with small business owners, but to do that with people who don't normally get the break they need to get, because that was my childhood. Deficit was I was invisible and I didn't get the breaks I needed. And so I want that for everybody. It's generally something we've all got, but we've got to uncover.
That's right. And it takes time, but 3 to 5. I mean, I think I still would have been going on and on and on, just, rumbling all these different ideas around in my head. If I hadn't had that community to, I can throw it out there. I can talk with them. People can say, yeah, that's
sounds, or that really doesn't relate to a real lifetime goal that's going to live on. And I had help. I mean, they said, talk to people that know you, have them, say how they would describe you. All these words, all these ideas, all these things help me to really nail it down.
Yeah, and we go through our Big Whys in 3 to 5 Club every January. We've got a workshop, a self-guided workshop you can use to help you uncover yours, not to find one. It's already in there, but we've got a workshop that can help you do that as well. So I love that you mentioned what I would call the fourth. We'll jump to the fourth building block, which is outside eyes. First building block is having a clear vision for your life, what we call a big why and a lifetime goal. And the fourth building block is outside eyes. You found in the group with people who had no dog in the hunt with your vision. They could be clear-eyed and objective and say, yeah, that sounds like something that works. Or, hey, Carey, what about this? And that was something I missed for the first 25 years of my business life. I didn't expect or think that I needed outside eyes like that. Oh my goodness, how valuable has that been to be in a situation where people can call BS on my life and then be an encouragement to say, hey, I see this in your big why. I see that in what you're doing. Have you thought about this? Tell me how being in community itself and having the outside eyes factor where you could just bounce things off of people, how has that helped you?
Tremendously, it's helped because you get close to these people. You miss them, when you're not in the group. You look forward to the group. And if anything comes up in the 2 weeks between meetings, I kind of write it down. I don't dwell on it. I don't stress over it, but I know I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to throw it out to my group and we're going to talk about it. I don't have to, it's lonely at the top, right? It's lonely. Yeah. As a business owner, it can get really lonely. Yep. So I really look forward to those meeting times when you just throw it out there. And I love hearing other people's ideas, not only for my own problems, it's not really problems, sometimes conflicts, but I love hearing theirs as well. And we get ideas from each other.
Exactly. Sometimes it's opportunities. It's not a problem. It's like, hey, I've got this new idea. What if I cut my underwear off and made $1 billion company out of it? So sometimes it's an opportunity.
Right. And it's just some of those things you can't talk to the other people necessarily in your company about it.
Right.
We're all so deep in the same thing that it's really fun to throw it out to people that, they're not in your business. They can see it in so many different ways, and just relating to the book that you recommended, The Wisdom of Crowds. It doesn't have to be somebody that's related to your business. Get the best ideas from people that aren't.
Isn't that the case? So, because they're so far removed from what we do, they come up with brand new ideas that nobody in our industry would have ever thought of. The overwhelming majority of innovation in industries come from people outside the industries. Nobody in the hotel industry came up with Airbnb. Nobody in the taxi industry came up with Uber and Lyft. That came from outside. So we need those people leaning on us and saying, hey, here's an idea from outside. We get the best ideas, to your point, from people who don't know our businesses, not the ones who are in it. And part of that community is we really encourage people to get together with others, and I know you do this, in between meetings, have a cup of coffee and rub off on each other that way. And some people have people they get together with on a regular basis. Some others switch it around.
Doing the one-to-ones is so great. And what I love especially is you can do one-to-ones with your own group, but you have the whole community of all the groups that you can reach out to. And what's great is we all talk the same language. We're all learning the same things. We all speak the same language.
Yeah,
love that.
I've often wanted to build or create a little bumper sticker. There's a bumper sticker around Jeeps, and you see people have this bumper sticker on their Jeep. It says, "It's a Jeep thing you wouldn't understand." And at times I've wanted to put one together that says, "It's a business owner thing you wouldn't understand." We just go through things that others don't go through. It's not better. It's not worse. It's just different. And so to be in a group like that is a great thing. And I want to say quickly again that we are not selling 3 to 5 Club, but I am avidly selling that everybody should be in some kind of community because you need outside eyes. And 3 to 5 Club has worked for us, but man, find somewhere where you can say, I don't know, or I am scared, or I've got an opportunity, and bounce that off those people with outside eyes. So that's the fourth of the 4 building blocks that we found. The second one, we did the first one, the lifetime goals. The second one is strategic planning. And we use a simple little tool, a 2-page 2-page strategic plan because one isn't enough and 7 is playing office. So how did you, when you first heard about this idea of a strategic plan versus a business plan, very different things. How did you respond to that and how has that helped you in your business?
Well, when I laid eyes on it, I'm like, and here's the even better thing. It's like under the categories of your yearly goals, there's 10 lines. I'm like, oh my gosh, 10. Well, then I think there's a note or there's something in the teaching that says, no, only pick 3. Only 3. That's it. I'm like, oh, what a
preferably
relief.
one. Yeah, and even one if you
right.
can. And then you can have 2 or 3 or 4 sub objectives, but try and pick 1, 3 if you have. How did that relieve you that you, when you saw that you could pick just a few things instead of everybody has like 14 things they're going to do this year?
I know I can't wrap my head around it.
I can't either.
It was such a relief to know, okay, here's permission. I only need to work on these 3 big rocks and then figure out the steps to get them done, which makes so much sense, taking it step by step versus this huge list. And then I feel like a failure without even starting.
Yeah, and this came from the wisdom of crowds and from business community. I experienced it myself. When I had 8 goals, I got all 8 of them 30% done. When I had 5 goals, I got all 5 of them 40% done. When I had 3 goals, I might get 3 of them done, but more when I had 1 or 2, I got the 1 or 2 done, and then I got 2 or 3 other things done that I wouldn't have in order to get the 1 done. We're just not meant to be sprayed all over the place like that. So that's why we really encourage people to have 1, maybe 2, and 3 if you have to, but never 7 or 8 or 9. And what I found was we got the other 7 or 8 things as far done as we need to because we were focused on the 1 or 2 or 3. The saying that came out of that for us in 3 to 5 Club is when you capture everything, you do nothing. We just can't work at that level. We think we're supposed to capture every little thing that we need to do this year, and it just becomes this overwhelming complication that buries us. So let's just pick 1 or 2 or 3 things and then break it into quarters and then break it into months and then break it into weeks and say, what do I need to do this week in order to get that thing done for the next 12 months? And that's what the 2-page strategic plan is set to do for us. We review that every year and really on a regular basis as well. Anything else?
Well,
the 2-page
and in
strategic
business, we meet on it with it once a week.
Excellent.
Because things change.
Yeah.
Things change and you don't want to lose sight of what you're working on.
And isn't that's so different than a business plan? We were taught in business school that you put together, you're some kind of genius who can put together a 12-month plan December 31st and then just run it for 12 months. Life gets in the way. It doesn't work that way. We change our business, our strategic plan, sometimes weekly. We look at it every week and we add things, we take things off every week because life is dynamic. There's no such thing as a 12-month plan that you just run. You have 12-month objectives. Here's the one thing we want to accomplish this year. Now, what do we do this week? And that changes on a regular basis. So I love that it's rolling, dynamic, flexible, and actually responds to what's happening in my life instead of me feeling like a slave to this business plan that I put together December 31st. I love that you accentuated that.
Well, it's something you can actually carry out. I think a business plan is, you look at it and it's so complicated that it's just like, it's a someday thing. It's not something you can actually work on day to day.
Yeah. So the 4th building block, which we're the 3rd building block now, lifetime goals is number 1, strategic plan is number 2, and there's no order you have to get these in. Freedom mapping is the 3rd of the 4, and then outside eyes is the 4th. Let me explain freedom mapping very quickly to our audience. Freedom mapping is simply figuring out what is the highest and best use of your time and talents and mapping your way to those things using a simple little process mapping tool that we have, and then doing that for others in your business to get everybody to where they're working on the highest and best use of their time and getting you off the treadmill. So how did freedom mapping show up for you? What did you think of it when you first saw it? And how has it helped you in your business?
When I first saw it, I thought it's something that, and I think this was talked about too, if that person quits, if I get hit by a bus, if, you need to know how your business runs. What's the step by step. because somebody else might be coming in to do your job or to help you out if somebody gets sick. I mean, it makes so much sense. The other thing that I think it's really helpful for is your clients. So if you have clients or you have partners or any of that, they can see what's the process, a client relationship. What does it look like? They want to know.
Yeah.
They want to know what's the first step, and then now where do we go from there?
Exactly. Psychologists say the worst of human conditions is uncertainty. Well, let's give people certainty. Here's what the process is going to be like as a customer. And then here's the process for you as an employee or a stakeholder in our business. We want certainty, and freedom mapping, it gives us that certainty. But you hit it on the head. One of the advantages of freedom mapping is Sally can actually go on vacation for 2 weeks because the process is no longer in her head. It's actually in a really simple one-page diagram where she can teach somebody else the things that have to be done the 2 weeks she's gone, and then she can actually go on vacation and not come back to a mess because somebody else can stand in for her. There's a lot of reasons to do it, but that for me is one of the biggest ones, is we all get to go away for a day, a week, or even a month at times, and our stuff gets carried over because it's no longer in our head. It's not a bunch of geniuses running the business. It's genius processes that we've all written down so we can plug and play.
Exactly. And I think then you don't have to come back and straighten out the mess that someone else maybe created.
So you're a small business. Giant corporations do things like this. They call it process mapping. We call it freedom mapping because it's more about the people than the process. It's both. But why did you feel like you needed these when there's just a few of you and when there's 2,000 of you? Okay, we need to do this. But why do we need to do this when there's 5, 10, or 15 of us? Seems like it would be less important. I think it's more important. How did you see it?
I think it's important because we can all be sort of in our little lanes, our little silos, doing our thing. And quite honestly, you do this every day, and then people will develop doing things a different way, or maybe they perfect it. Well, I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know that. Honestly, if our director goes on vacation, I can't just take over. I don't just automatically know that. We don't have a big company, right? But when things are mapped out and laid out, I feel at ease, and I know that I'm not missing something.
And you can follow the process because it's right
I can
there.
follow it.
The process didn't leave because she went on vacation. She left, but the process stayed. And that's really important. That's a great way to look at it. I would say the smaller your business is, the more freedom mapping is necessary in your business. If there's 2 of you, holy cow, boy, do you need freedom mapping, because when there's 2 or 3 or 5 of us, we all wear 4 or 5 different hats, and we're doing things, to your point, we're doing all these complicated things that nobody else knows about because they're all busy doing their thing. And then you go on vacation, or you take a different job, or fill in a blank. It leaves in a tremendous hole in a 4-person business that it wouldn't leave in a 2,000-person business. So this has been real freedom for me to map my processes, map my way to freedom, and everybody knows what everyone is doing and can step in for them. And the process is right there. It's written down. They don't have to be confused about it.
Exactly. And I think even more so today, because people are working remotely.
Yeah.
We're not working side by side each other in an office anymore talking. Don't talk to each other like we used to. And so I think it's even more important to have this in place.
Well, we just touched, we're actually a little over on our time here. We like to keep these short, but important to help people see the 4 building blocks. And more importantly, the idea of getting into a business community. Yes, you can join a 3 to 5 club, great. But I would strongly encourage you to become a recovered John Wayne Rugged individualist like I am, and find your way into business community where you can actually get outside eyes and get some real direction in your business. Carey, it's been a pleasure to have you here today. We just scratched the surface. We'll have you back for some other things. And
thanks, Chuck. Thanks for having me. I mean, I could talk on and on. It's just, there's so much that's really exciting.
Yeah. Well, we're excited for your passion. We're excited for you and where you're going in your next stage of business. And let's do this again.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you.
That wraps up another episode of the Get Off the Treadmill podcast. If you found this podcast helpful, please subscribe and hit the like button to ensure you are receiving the latest tools you need to grow your business and to get off the treadmill. If you want more information on the 3 to 5 Club, the Crankset Group, or to book Chuck as a business advisor, speaker, or workshop leader, you can contact us at grow@cranksetgroup.com. Until next time, have a great week.